There's a few things at play here, Jemana. Firstly, of course, we've seen sort of rampant inflation and central banks having to deal with that through interest rate hikes. That's had a big impact on technology stocks, many of which SoftBank are invested in as well, and it's put pressure on the public markets. And SoftBank saying it saw some losses on companies such as South Korean e-commerce firm Coupang, as well as DoorDash over in the US, which saw their stocks hit quite hard in the second quarter. But that negative sentiment towards tech stocks in the public markets has filtered through to the private markets as well. And we are seeing valuations now in private markets also come down quite significantly. And it's also led to a lack of IPOs. Now, SoftBank has typically relied on the IPO market to get companies to the market, make their money off of that, and then reinvest it into other companies as well. And that's also dried up somewhat as well, which is putting further pressure as well. China continues to be an issue for SoftBank as well. It's got several investments there. And of course, we've seen the regulatory tightening in China for the domestic technology sector that has hurt the share prices of many of the companies there. Now, Masayoshi-san always gives a pretty candid view of what's going on in the world. And he's got he gave a very candid view today, just moments ago during the press conference. Let's listen in to what he had to say.
This quarter, 3 trillion yen loss. Previous quarter, about 2 trillion yen loss. So in total, I said 6 trillion yen earlier, but actually it's a 5 trillion yen loss. Previous year, we made a 5 trillion yen gain. So actually about the same level of the amount has been lost. So when we record the big gain, I actually was very proud myself, and when I look back, I'm a bit embarrassed, and I learned a lesson. So the factors of loss, there are two things. One is the global stock market turmoil, and the other is the rapid fall of yen.
So Masayoshi-san said in May the company will play defense. So what does that exactly look like? Well, it made about $10 billion on prepaid forward contracts of Alibaba shares in the quarter. It sold off its Uber stake as well. And so it looks like SoftBank really trying to bolster the balance sheet to give investors some confidence. And you have seen also just in the last few minutes the company announce a 400 billion yen share buyback amounting to about 6.3% of its own shares as well. Perhaps also a move to try to shore up some confidence in the company, guys.